Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Time to once again look at giant monsters' satire of pop culture, aka Godzilla Kingdom of Monsters. And oh boy, we're about to get the worst of it in this one. Decided to read ahead on the book just to see how much worse it can get. The good news is that I can definitively say that those who said the book got better later were correct. Unfortunately, it's a long slog to get there, and while the book does get better, it's still not exactly what I would call good, especially because it's pretty clear that a lot of subplots are gonna go nowhere and it feels too little too late. But for now, a reminder of what happened last time. In issue 3, while rednecks tried and failed miserably to fight Anguirus, Lady Girly Yaya protested that people should be killed so the giant monsters can live. Pop culture parody with giant monsters is a bad romance. More promisingly, twin psychic girls help awaken Mothra's dark counterpart Batra from a giant egg, controlling the creature. And I got a lot of comments from people pointing out that I mistakenly said Batra was female and that it's actually male. But to be perfectly frank, I tried to look this one up and couldn't really find an official source about it. I just always assumed Batra was female because it's a counterpart to Mothra, who is confirmed female. But apparently some say, as part of the whole yin-yang thing with the two, it's supposed to be male. Still, there's plenty of debate about this, and I did look ahead, and in a future issue, they do refer to Batra as male, so there you go. And this debate about the gender of a giant bug monster is far more interesting than anything you will find in this comic. Let's dig into Godzilla, Kingdom of Monsters, number 4.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a birdie hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Linkara, coins, robots, Amazon and trucks. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
Reading from a trade, so no cover analysis. We open with this guy, Sergeant Woods, an Army officer who has returned from service. 3 weeks ago, he was given the Presidential Medal of Honor. As you can tell from his expression, he's just so happy about it. Seems funny to give me something to remind me of a moment I never want to relive. Admittedly, not many can say they got a medal for peeing on a man's leg to save their life, but there you go. This place doesn't even seem real anymore, like I'm remembering someone else's life, not mine. Almost as if this serious, somber thought process about someone returning home from military service really doesn't match the tone of a comic making jokes about rednecks fighting Anguirus. So yeah, the first page is actually kind of promising. A character dealing with the harsh reality of psychological issues affecting someone coming home from a war, feelings of alienation from his old life. It's heavy stuff. Let's see how quickly they botch this, eh? He decides to take a walk. I read this book while I was deployed. It was about how the Americans who lived through the Depression and the Second World War were possibly the greatest generation in our country's history. But only the ones who lived. The ones who died? Whew, they're the worst. He spots a mother and daughter walking out of a store, with the daughter being pissed off that her mother bought her the wrong MP3 player. You got the 8 gig, Mom. I wanted the 16 gig. You're so stupid. Just a bit of parenting advice from someone who, admittedly, doesn't have kids. But if my child said that to me, they would get no gigs, and no internet access, and various other punishments. Oh, it gets better. The daughter even slaps the one she bought out of her mother's hand. I don't get it. Did a kid eat this comic's puppy? Why does it hate children so much? Oh, and in case you're wondering, this is where the comic screws up the goodwill it had gotten from the first page. A mere 3 panels later. What does our generation know about personal sacrifice? Our country is at war, but no one seems to notice until somebody says they want to raise taxes to pay for it. Oh my god, a kid is being a brat! America is doomed! During World War II, there was rationing, fuel conservation, scrap drives. I wonder how it would go over today if someone told us that sacrificing our supersized cheeseburgers and 50-inch flat screens would help defeat terrorism.
If they handed out medals on Planet Stupid, you could be an Olympian.
Like, dear lord, there's so much to unpack with this. First, up yours, dude. You have no idea what any of these people have gone through in their lives, how difficult that mother or that family in the fast food restaurant have it, or what sacrifices they've made. I mean, just look at me. I've had to sacrifice brain cells while reading this crap. But hey, Sergeant, let's give you the benefit of the doubt here and assume you're right, that they're just so spoiled and awful. But here's what you're forgetting, dude. It's not the Great Depression or World War II anymore. In fact, I bet they would be willing to sacrifice their supersized cheeseburgers and 50-inch flat screens to defeat terrorism. The thing is, they don't need to. We don't need to ration stuff to the extremes of World War II. Warfare has changed, and so has society. Recycling of various kinds and scrap exchanges are still done. Fuel conservation? Yeah, certainly an issue, and yet we're also driven to work on alternative fuels and power. I mean, just for an example, I've got this idea for a power plant fueled by my hatred of Marvel that'll keep the Eastern Seaboard running for 100 years. You fight in wars to make it so people can live with the comfort of crappy kids and fast food. Because the alternative sucks more! And because I'm sure I'm starting to lose a lot of you with my ranting, I need to inject some more humor into this. As such, hey everybody, you like it when I say boner? Then take a look at this huge dick. He's not even done either. Our grandparents appreciated having roofs over their heads and being able to feed their families. The slightest inconvenience is a burden to us. We've become a culture of gluttonous, selfish, spoiled children. Maybe, but I'm sure our grandparents also appreciate people being angry at inconveniences instead of developing polio. Look, I'm not saying we should never be annoyed at selfish, petty, or otherwise insufferable behavior, especially when right now I am ranting about insufferable behavior. But this is completely unnecessary, elevating the tired parody of the previous issues into full-blown obnoxiousness. We see a terrible child and 2 privileged douchebags in a car talking about how their vacations will suck. And I'm happy to mock them, but who the hell is he to just rag on a random family eating their food? And to round out this bit that I'm sure you're all sick of, what the hell does any of this have to do with a Godzilla comic? Yeah, the original Godzilla was social commentary, but it served the greater story, reminded people of the horrors they themselves had experienced, and it didn't feel the need to shove in satire of pop culture icons because it thought they were silly or stupid. What does any of this ranting have to do with a giant monster destroying us? That we're too preoccupied with trivialities to deal with it? Yeah, maybe you'd have a point if the president was seen as never caring about any of the damage done, but even when he is seen to be paying attention to unnecessary crap, it doesn't stop him from doing his job. Or far worse, is this supposed to be saying we deserve to be killed by the monsters? Because of fast food and Lady Gaga? Oh, I almost forgot amongst all of my raving. Silly me. Allow me to properly introduce you all to Sergeant Woods, the main character of the rest of the comic. He passes by a cafe where an old man is watching the TV. What is wrong with these people? The greatest generation has lived just long enough to see their sacrifices culminate in a culture that idolizes the cast of Jerseyfied. Actually, the old man was asking what's wrong with them because the 2 women who are fighting are smart enough to recognize when they are being manipulated by another guy on the show. The old man's actually a huge fan of Jerseyfied. Oh yeah, just because we've raised the bar on idiocy doesn't mean we're done with the parody crap. Behold their version of Jersey Shore. And then let's stop beholding it, because suddenly the comic remembers the actual plot. We interrupt this program to bring you this special bulletin. This may be hard to believe, folks, but this is not a hoax. I repeat, this is not a hoax. Reports are flooding in of a giant creature ravaging the city of Tokyo. Dude, don't worry about Tokyo, worry about yourself. It's right behind you in the window, man! We cut to Normandy, France, where the French military is attempting to attack Batra, but the psychic twins spot the attacking force, having the monster destroy them. And now we'll take you to Paris, Batra, and you'll make us the queens. You know, it's sad that Sergeant Woods never meets up with the psychic twins. Ugh, this generation, expecting to be treated like queens. During the Depression, people appreciated their psychic powers. We cut to what I presume is a parody of, I think, a combination of Live with Regis and Kathy Lee, as well as the Today Show. Might just be one or the other. I don't watch either. One could argue that I am needlessly ignorant of pop culture by not knowing. I say I am protecting myself from caring about whatever the hell the comic is parodying. All it is them saying, "Boy, giant monsters, huh? That's a bummer." I'm not even exaggerating. That's pretty much what the dialogue is. What about these giant monsters, huh? Huh? What a downer. Am I right?
Am I right?
But they've got more important things to worry about. The cast of Jerseyfied promoting their new movie. Jerseyfied, never stay sober in 3D. With each passing minute, I am agreeing with the sentiment of not being sober. Actually, I'm just curious about that name. Is it Never Stay Sober and the movie is in 3D? Or are they saying that one should not be sober while they're 3D? Anyway, to highlight Sergeant Woods' point, he's backstage as the hosts say they might get to him, assuming they have enough time, showing that they care more about stupid celebrities than war heroes. Fair enough, and at least Woods has the good sense to not be ranting about that to people out loud, so he's at least got tact going for him. A show producer walks by and makes a disparaging remark about conservatives, but fears she may have pissed him off by saying that. I'm sorry if I offended you. You know we're all a bunch of Hollywood liberals out here. However, he points out that he's not a Republican. I mean, I have nothing but respect for when President Reagan got superpowers and defeated terrorism with his raiders, but still. The producer is happy to hear he's a Democrat, but he says he isn't that either. I've seen intolerance run both ways. I don't happen to be a Democrat either. I'm of the mind that political parties are too divisive. We're all Americans, aren't we? Yes, I see. So tell me, what's it like having your head up your own ass? So let's get away from his superior attitude and the brilliant parody stuff. Woods watches the TV some more, learning that Anguirus has kept a low profile for the most part since he entered the USA, but that Godzilla is definitely now on his way to the West Coast. A bit odd, considering when we last saw him, he was on his way through Korea from Japan. Damn GPS, I have no idea what direction it wants me to go in! Back over to France, the twins are ransacking a toy store in Paris, putting on some capes and crowns. I hereby crown us the Queens of France! It's too bad these aren't real crowns. Yes, queens should have real crowns. Let us get real crowns! To the Burger King! They leave Batra to hang out around the Eiffel Tower while they go off. Meanwhile, the US military tracks Godzilla's approach, but they also realize that Anguirus is on the move again too, and their trajectories show that the two monsters are headed right for each other. Back in France, some soldiers are guarding the Louvre from looters, and they're all quickly killed by the twins as they approach. Well, at the very least, it's nice to see little kids interested in museums. Sergeant Woods is recalled into active duty to help with the evacuation of Los Angeles. He contacts his parents on the phone, warning them to head to a neighbor's house and go into a bomb shelter if the monsters start going in their direction. But who cares about that? Look, during the montage of the evacuation, the premiere of Jerseyfied Never Stay Sober in 3D was canceled! Oh yeah, and the monsters suddenly come face to face in LA. There's also these two newscasters. As experts in our respective fields, we can unequivocally state that these two creatures are working together. What fields? Godzillology and giant monster studies at the Boggy Creek Institute? The fact that they are in league with one another should strike fear in the heart of every American. Who knows what havoc they'll wreak working in tandem? And then Godzilla attacks Anguirus. As we stated before, they are obviously adversaries of different species. Right, it's anyone's guess the havoc these two incompatible titans may wreak in their struggle for dominance. Boy, they're gonna look even worse if it turns out that this is actually just part of a mating ritual for these two creatures. The next several pages, we finally get a fight scene between the two. I'll give it this, nice nod to the fact that Anguirus and Godzilla were the first opponents in the Godzilla series, so having them be the first ones to face off here is a nice touch. Godzilla then spots the Hollywood sign and blasts it away.
Take that, Roland Emmerich!
Oh, not for the 98 Zilla movie. Godzilla really hated Anonymous. Having briefly been seen earlier helping people with the evacuation, Sergeant Woods emerges from the wreckage of the city. The monsters continue to fight, but Woods spots a giant van limo hanging off of some debris. They call out to him for help, but he recognizes the people in the limo. The cast of Jerseyfied, and he just walks away from them. Dude, what the hell are you doing? Come back! You're supposed to help us! Oh, whew. Man, they dodged a bullet there. They almost made Sergeant Woods likable for a second there. And so our comic ends with them continuing to scream for help, right before Godzilla's thermonuclear breath vaporizes the limo. Woods manages to walk away so he can appear in more issues and be considerably less dickish than this. This comic sucks! Like, holy crap, this is the worst issue of Kingdom of Monsters. Was Woods' rants and complaints about modern society meant to endear us to him? The previous few issues have shown us quite a bit of not seeing the forest for the trees with people, not recognizing the true threat that the giant monsters represent to them, and how small and irrelevant we are in the face of such overwhelming power. So who gives a crap about this guy not liking pop culture ephemera, or his generalized complaints about culture overall? And sure, given how quickly the Jerseyfied actors were vaporized by Godzilla after he left, he probably wouldn't have been able to save them, but frankly, his refusal to save them simply for being actors in a crappy TV show just makes him look like a heartless dickhead. The brief bits of monster fighting that we get are good, but emphasis on the word brief. Godzilla shoots Anguirus, Anguirus rolls at Godzilla, Anguirus is slapped away, Godzilla shoots the Hollywood sign for no reason, Anguirus attacks from behind, then Anguirus is knocked down. That's it! A fight consisting mainly of 2-page spreads with maybe a shot or two of other stuff. There's barely any Godzilla in this, with the best parts being the Batra twins, since at least it feels like there's a goal and a purpose behind them. Everything else feels either pointless or stupid. Next time, back to Patreon-sponsored material with an episode of the 90s Iron Man animated series. And while I haven't watched that series in years, I can reasonably assume that it's gonna be better than this! Harvey. 90s kid, what are you doing here? Dude, we need to talk. Why the hell shouldn't I call the others right now? Because you know me, dude. You know I wouldn't have done this unless I had a good reason. How fortunate then that I know you too, 90s kid. Kid, I've got this right now. No, I've got this, Harvey. 90s kid, you're coming back with us, and then you can explain to the whole class why you felt you needed to... Damn it! Vice must have been listening in on this. Kid, what the hell are you doing here? How'd you even know he would be here? That's not important right now. I think it is kind of important. I knew he might contact you guys. Needless to say, I'm keeping tabs on you. Is it gonna turn out that you tapped my phone or something? Vice might have used some kind of mind control tech on 90s Kid to get him to work with him. He might have done the same to you. I'm keeping tabs on you. This is bigger than you or me, Harvey. This is the fate of the world here. Get the hell out of here. And when I get back from this gig, you and I are gonna have a very long conversation. Nimue, you can beam me back to the Vigilant.